Basically, if you feel hurt by someone and they have not approached you, either because they don't know that they hurt you or they're unwilling to approach you, being that we have a prohibition, God says it's forbidden to hate someone in your heart. Well, then what do? But I do. Go speak to them about it. Tell them. I was just speaking to someone who told me a story about how they were deeply offended by a very prominent person. And I asked him, like, what happened? He said, well, after a while, I went to them and I sat down in their office and I told them that they hurt me deeply. Now, the offender didn't come to them, even though the offender is a prominent, we'll say, religious person. But the offender didn't come to them. And it seemed pretty clear from the story that the offender knew, because there was sort of a coldness that evolved. But this guy had the courage and the character to go to this person who's like, an authority, so to speak, and tell him, you hurt me. And I will say that the offender acknowledged and apologized. So he did an act of kindness for the offender. And the offender did have enough character to actually acknowledge what he did wrong and move past it. You know, in the ideal situation, we wouldn't even feel hurt, but we would have to be on the very advanced level not to feel hurt by someone who offends us. But I just want you to know that you don't need to be hurt when someone offends you. A lot of people don't know that. They think that that's the way it works. You offend, I get hurt. That's not the way it works, by the way. If anyone comes over to me tonight, by way of example, and you say, Rabbi, what are those shoes that you're wearing? Right? Anyone, if you say that to me tonight, I will not be offended. Right? Why? You don't like my shoes? Don't like my shoes. You don't have to wear, don't buy them. I'm fine. It just doesn't touch me personally. So, you're going to have to work harder to offend me, right? To do something, you got to get a little bit closer to me to offend me, right? That means you can be offensive and I'm not offended. I only get offended when I actually identify with what you're saying. That means I actually personalize what you're saying. So you can also say, Rabbi, you're a lousy teacher. And if I choose to identify with that, I could get very offended. But I could also choose not to identify with that. I can say, I actually think I'm a good teacher. I'm sorry you think otherwise. And that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. Right? That means I'm not identifying with what you're saying. I don't get offended. Right? Two people could tell you the exact same thing, and one person you'll get offended from and one person you won't. One, because that person you really don't identify with them. You don't really care what they say. And another person, because their opinion matters to you, and so now you personalize it because their opinion carries weight, and now it enters into you, and you're deeply offended. So I just wanted to throw that out also. A very elevated person, let me say this, the more elevated we become, the less offended we become the less we can become offended. I actually tell people all the time, they say, Rabbi, I don't want to offend you. I say, I challenge you to offend me. That's my challenge to you. Go right at it.